Hello and welcome to the Personal Podcast. Today I'm chatting to Shak Asghar, and you know the rules, there's no small talk, so we're straight into that first question. Shak, is God a DJ?
He is to me, yeah.
Yeah, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think for me personally and my belief system, it's kind of like, well, without God nothing was created, and as you know, I love music, so for me it's part of the creation that's been created, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So for me, he's my DJ, and spiritually and musically. Is that all right?
Yeah, because I was thinking about this too, and you know, we are dancing to a beat, aren't we? The rhythm of life and nature and everything like that, and there is music all around us.
Definitely, and I think for me personally, and where I'm at in my life, I think in the same way that music conditions my mood, I say that quite a lot to people. So depending on when I wake up and my mood, if I need energy, I'll pick the right music to lift my spirit. If I'm feeling sad, I might listen to a different kind of music, or you know, it's horses for courses type of thing. So, but
Absolutely.
on my personal journey, I think I've just got to a different point in my life as well. So the same way music does that for me, I think my religion and my belief system is doing the same thing for me on the other side of life as well.
Yeah, and what is your religion? What do you believe in?
Islam. So God or Allah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very proud to be from a Muslim background and believe in all the key pillars of Islam. And yeah, I think as I've gotten older, I've gone on my own journey with it. And for me, it's about following the teachings of Islam, and there's some really nice ones in there about how like life sort of instructions, if you will, on how to live a good life and being good to people and doing good and things like that. So yeah,
whatever makes sense to you. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a religious person, but I'm definitely spiritual.
Yeah.
And you know, how do you define the difference sometimes? But I'm just constantly always thinking about things. You know, why are we here? What's our purpose? Like, how did we get here? And I have no answers at this stage. Do you feel like you have the answers through Islam?
I think the answers are, in a way, provided by the teachings of what you believe in, if it's religion.
Yeah.
For me, there's a lot of that there, but I think also you can at the same time question things as part of the process. So in the same respect, then it's a part of, like, that's why I'm referring to it as a journey, I think, because you go through a process. Well, I certainly have, and the answers, if we're using that phrase, come to you in different ways, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to have a belief or some faith in whatever that might be, just almost, as you said, for that journey, maybe to guide you through life.
100%, yeah.
Even if it's just about believing in yourself or believing in your family, believing in your children.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a strong believer in not pushing things on people. And yeah, I think the other thing as well is we're lucky in this day and age that when I was at school anyway, which is not that long ago really, in the grand scheme of things, we did have the opportunity to learn about all different religions and belief systems, which I thought was very important from a perspective of being aware of other people around you and respectful of their ways and their beliefs and how they might approach different situations and things like that. And
me
especially
too.
in a global world now, it's easy. We can be 8 hours on an airplane and be in a completely different alien place with multiple faiths and multiple cultures and all kinds of stuff. So for me, it's about enrichment, really.
Totally, that's a really lovely word when it comes to religion. And it does have a lot of negative connotations as well these days. You know, some people say religion causes so much trouble. But I really enjoyed that at school as well. I didn't necessarily believe everything, but I just loved learning about it and being open to possibilities.
I think the other thing as well is that when we were little, my dad's really like into the religion of Islam, and we were lucky that we got exposed to all the teachings. But one thing that always sticks in my mind is how he used to promote the acceptance of the other faiths and belief systems, and that you have to respect it one another, even down to the point that where they live just down the road from, well, I'm saying down the road, it's like 100, 200 meters away from the church, and like getting to know the vicars and priests that were there and talking about things in front of us. When at the time we probably didn't realise, but I just recall it as being around that environment, and then learning about all different kinds of people, and so it's a good thing.
Definitely, and yeah, if it does no harm and it provides someone a direction in life, a purpose, you know, it's only good, surely, no matter what that is. And it could be, you know, we've all got different value sets, haven't we, as well? It's kind of similar. You know, you can still get on with people who have different values to you, but, you know, just respectful of that, and everyone's different.
Exactly, yeah. And goes back to what I was saying before about everything. This day and age is so global and instant. You can open an app on your phone and see somebody from Africa or Japan or wherever it might be.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, totally. And do you think that globalization will change or is changing religion in the fact that there may become just one religion? Or do you think it will always be quite a lot of separate, different religions?
It's a very tough question, that, actually, because only in the sense of people are very either loosely affiliated with it or not at all, or very strongly associated with it. And I think that the key religions, like Islam is probably one of the key religions that is like now here, and Judaism as well, I would say. Like in this country, a lot of people now who say, oh, well, they might identify as being a Christian by default, for example, but it's quite loose here.
Yeah.
And the churches don't get that many people going.
They don't, no.
You know, if you go to a mosque or a synagogue, there will be plenty of people.
You get more people there.
Yeah, and I think, so it's a tough question to ask, because it's almost like a crystal ball type of question.
Yeah.
I personally, I think that there will always be the individual faiths themselves, the key faiths, and then obviously they will continue with different generations, and it'll all depend on how the world moves as to how people will either live by that kind of system of operation or not.
Yeah. You know, I do worry for churches. I'm not massively religious myself, but I am a Christian. I was christened. But they're these beautiful buildings. They're just amazing, but they're just desolate, really, because people aren't going to them. Obviously, there's some that's thriving.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, you just don't want them going to ruin after like being so beautifully constructed.
Exactly, and at the end of the day, they're places of worship, aren't they? So they're like key buildings, just like a mosque would be, just like a synagogue would be, just like a gurdwara would be. They're all the same.
Yeah.
In that purpose. So it's a shame to see them not being used in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, like anything, I guess. Any beautiful building like that. And I guess if you're going down the route of, you know, high street and retail, they're having to go for multi-use. You know, maybe that's the answer. Yeah.
I think people in the faith systems, say Church of England, for example, they have tried that. I mean, I used to go to the clubs and the Scouts, and it was in the church hall.
Yeah, yeah.
And I loved it, you know. And so I think if there can be more community kind of buy-in, then there will be like more a long-lasting legacy of those types of things, you know. And it's just nice to have everything there, you know. Yeah,
there's been some amazing churches turned into nightclubs, which again, I don't know how you feel about that, but they're amazing places. I think it was Halo in Leeds I used to go to. I don't know if it's still there,
Yeah, there's been a few, hasn't there? And there's a lot of examples of that where people have gone in and bought the asset and then turned them into housing or
Yeah.
hotels or whatever. For me, I think, yeah, at least the building is still in existence, and from that perspective, it's nice. It's just a shame that it's not being used for what the purpose
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
the
true.
use is for, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess kind of whatever people are worshipping, if they're worshipping their music there, then maybe that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I say, if it continues and they don't just go to rack and ruin,
Yeah, better than nothing.
yeah, better than nothing, I guess. Yeah.
Brilliant. And on that kind of music theme, what was it like being a top DJ or a top DJ, as Kevin and Perry, one of my favourite films, used to say? You used to travel the world, didn't you? And
Yeah, I mean, that's probably my favourite thing about it, realistically. Sorry,
it's all
trying to
right.
throw up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think for me, just getting the opportunity to experience different cultures and people, and you take when it's funny because you take people on a journey, and if you're good at what you do, you can control people.
Oh, that must feel powerful. I hadn't thought of it like that.
And I don't mean in a sense of like dictatorship control.
No,
It's the emotional ride that you can take
totally,
people on.
yeah. Even the body movements, the physical movements they do.
Yeah, exactly. So the art really is to transport people, I guess, to a different place for however long that you might be there and have the privilege of doing it with them for and sharing the moment, but basically being able to control the ups and downs of somebody's emotional mood is crazy.
Oh yeah, I just hadn't thought of it that way, but that must feel amazing. Stood up there, and your people move into your every kind of command sort of thing.
Well, realistically, that's a good DJ to
Yeah.
read the room, isn't it? And if you can read the room and be able to select music, the right music at the right time, and continue that
Yeah,
roller coaster ride is how I would describe it, then
yeah.
you know
'Cause
that
you know
that's what you're getting paid for.
definitely, and you know when a DJ's got it wrong as well. Reading the room when the song comes on, and you're just like, oh, it's just we were ready for something else. This is just taking us to a whole different place.
Yeah, it can crash and burn quite quickly.
Yeah, amazing. And when you were a DJ, was there a song that you played more than any other?
Honestly, there's been there's been a few. I don't know, just because it's in my head right now, I'm gonna say something like "No Diggity"
Oh yeah,
by Blackstreet.
yeah.
I'm sure there's others as well. There's some that I just can't listen to anymore because you literally would. They're just the obvious choices.
Was that a go-to crowd pleaser?
Yeah. You get those. You get those in a set, don't you?
If you've got a tough crowd, go to that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Rescue tunes.
Yes. Oh, what others were on the rescue playlist?
Yeah, I suppose you can. If you crash and burn, you can really quickly rescue it.
Yeah, true.
If you think on your feet quickly. But yeah, I would say something like that.
And were they called rescue tunes?
No, I'm just saying that now.
I think they should be.
My own kind of terminology. I'm just thinking, if that does happen, then you quickly need to switch it up. Otherwise, you're going to lose your crowd, and it's pretty.
Have you ever
rubbish.
lost your crowd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Badly.
Yeah,
Have they walked off the dance floor? And...
I think there's been a few times in most DJs' career where you'll end up having a moment like that where you think, shit.
Like any career, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, no one's going to get it right every time, and some people might be in the venue and think, oh, I don't really like this tune. I'll go to the toilet.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been there.
So it could even just be that is happening, but obviously for you, you're like watching the room and you're thinking,
yeah,
why is everybody just gone?
Yeah, and you can never please everyone.
And sometimes you just get the curveballs where there's a dead cert and you'll drop it and it just doesn't come off the way that you thought it was going to.
Yeah, it might be a grower.
Yeah. So, and then the other element of it is obviously educating people, I think, is the key part of it. I remember when, say, 50 Cent's In the Club came out, we were playing that 6 months before anybody even knew what it was. And then since that point all the way till now, it would be something in an R&B and hip hop room you would hear all the time.
Oh yeah, it's a classic now.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, different scenarios, but yeah.
Oh, amazing. I love it. It's always one of those jobs I wish I had learned how to do and could do it and just have that skill. It's amazing.
Get you on the ones and twos yet, Charlotte?
I would love that. I really would. As soon as one day when I have the time, I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Are there any songs that make you cry?
Yeah.
Which ones?
It's hard to answer the question because, like I said before, music for me is quite a important tool to manage my life.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
just sometimes if I felt quite sad about something, there might be certain songs I would think about and think I'm gonna listen to that. Sometimes I hear music that is designed to be that kind of a journey, you know.
Yeah.
The song is actually that intended for that, and you can connect to it emotionally, if you know what I mean, for whatever reason.
Yeah. Oh, it's powerful. I use music like a photo album almost. I have, obviously, well, got Spotify albums now, but back in the day I had the CDs, and putting on, I could pinpoint where I was, whether I was at school or a certain boy, or, you know, even like an animal, my pet dog, you know, what I was doing at that moment in time. And I love that about music. You know, reading and books and photographs I love, but nothing stirs up the emotions or nostalgia like music for me.
Yeah. And I think I'm quite an AV person anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's so powerful. Like, you can just people talk about it in different ways, don't they? Like, you've had like I think it was the Sumerians and people like that said that the frequencies of the sounds are connected to people's energy and things like that. And I think there's something in that to a certain degree, because you can really feel music and it can whip up all kinds of emotions. It can make you super energetic and super excited, and it can also make you sit and reflect, and it can also make you sad, and every emotion.
Totally. And you know, even if you think of it, is it those Tibetan bowls where people dong them, that's probably the incorrect term, and then the vibrations go through your body, you hear that sound, and it's very relaxing, it's almost meditational. And that's music. So I guess it's played a key part in religion as well, singing hymns and everything like that. It is like a religion in itself.
Yeah, exactly.
And that power when you've got a group of people singing and you're all loving life, and that's beautiful, and so much energy that it's got about it.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of them. I think music's one of them special things, and the other thing I like about it is it's like a universal language, isn't it? You don't need to be any particular anything to have an appreciation for the same kind of thing. You know, piece of music or whatever you're talking about.
Definitely. And it's taken for granted as well sometimes, just music, because you've got access now to so many different types of music. Just on your phone. That's just unreal.
It's crazy, actually, that you can literally just access things like that in the snap of a finger. Because, you know, I can remember when Tim, I don't know if he's controversial or not to talk
now, but it's
about.
fine, that's fine on here.
But it is part of my history. I lived in London for a bit, and he was like a legend in the game for like the hip hop scene in the UK, because there wasn't anybody else doing it. There was like Westwood on Radio 1, and straight after it was Chris Goldfinger for like reggae and dancehall music, and there was nothing else really apart from like pirate stations. So I can remember like recording on a cassette.
Yes, me too.
You know, the show, so that we could hear like all the latest hip hop and everything. And I've totally lost my train of thought why I've actually brought this up, but that's what I was saying. Yeah, basically, that's how we used to have to find the music and that. Whereas now you can literally have the algorithm push based on what you've listened to something to you, and all of a sudden it's
Which is good,
suggestion.
which is lovely, but it's made me take music for granted. You know, when you heard that song on the radio and you had no other way of getting it, certainly in the early days before the CD was released, there was just the first play. You're like, oh my goodness, I need this song. So you'd wait until it was out. You'd save your pocket money. You'd go and get the CD, and then you'd play it and play it and play it. And you were just, and the same with an album. And you'd listen to that album, the whole story as well. So I certainly would, the lyrics and everything.
Yeah.
And now, because there's so much choice out there, firstly, I struggle to decide because there's so much choice. What am I going to listen to today? And then I just don't appreciate it as much because I'm like, right, on to the next, on to the next.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's amazing, but it's kind of ruined it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think it's a bit like that with everything, though, isn't it?
True.
Because
Yeah.
everything's instant. And
Yeah.
what I like about what's happening right now is there's a bit of a culture coming back in to collect music again.
Yes.
Especially on vinyl.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think you can beat the tone of Wax. You just can't.
Yeah. I don't have it, but I have listened. I think my brother's got one. I've listened to it. It is really nice.
Yeah, you
just that when the needle touches it.
Exactly. If you've got an old turntable that hasn't got any digital processing in it and it's all original, there's nothing that sounds like listening to music that's been pressed
properly.
on vinyl.
Yeah.
It's got its own kind of, it's warmth. It's a warmth to it.
You're so right. Yeah. What is your favourite album of all time? Or song?
Come on, man, that's a tough question. Because of the reasons that I've been saying, different albums and songs have different things for me, but I'm just going to say, personally, my favourite kind of hip-hop group was Bone Thugs and Harmony, which was signed to Eazy-E's label, Ruthless Records.
Yeah.
And it's pretty hard going, but I just love them. And the first song that I connected to them was called Crossroads.
Oh, yes.
Which is quite an emotional kind of a song. So, yeah, it was actually my auntie who showed me that.
Oh.
So...
That's lovely.
But
yeah, so you always think of her when...
Yeah, 100%. She got me into music, I would say, and because she collected vinyl. So I used to go around when I got looked after by them and get the records out and put them on the turntables, and it was all stuff like LL Cool J and Eric B and Rakim and all the old school hip hop stuff.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I had this album. I think it was called that Old School Hip Hop.
Yeah.
And I must have bought it about 20 years ago when CDs were still a thing, but I loved it. Yeah.
But then they had quite a lot of other stuff as well, like Madonna and Prince and Michael Jackson and Ray Charles and all kinds of stuff. So I was lucky, I guess. We had quite across the spread, but I fell in love with the sound of hip hop from her record collection.
Yeah, who would have thought it from your auntie?
I know, yeah.
Awesome. Brilliant. Changing the subject a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I am, you're a parent of girls.
Yeah.
Do you think the world will be a better place for girls in the future than it is now?
I hope so. I don't know if that's an answer that you want, but...
yeah, just a bit more detail. I mean, I hope so too, but, sometimes when you hear things on the news or you see things, you think, are things going backwards rather than forwards? Was it Andrew Tate or someone that described himself as the king of toxic masculinity and was putting on all these courses for guys? Yeah, you think... is it going to suddenly swing the other way? Are we living in a world of extremes now?
I think things are going to be better across the board, but at the same time, I think it needs to be done in a particular approach. And the world's changing, isn't it? The world just changes consistently. It's such a fast-paced thing now.
Yeah.
Technology changes things. Travel.
I worry about that technology with girls. Well, and boys, young children and technology.
Yeah, in the sense of that's what they're interested in.
Yeah, that's what they're interested in. But, even as adults, you feel it takes over your mind sometimes. It affects your attention span. And imagine having had that from a young child.
Yeah, well, I've watched it with my two.
Right.
Because my eldest next week is 18.
Wow.
Which I still can't believe myself.
That is crazy.
I know it is. Tell me about it. And the other one's just becoming a teenage dirtbag, as I call her. And yeah, it's just funny watching them because I would say that our kind of generation were right on the cusp of everything, because I can remember like the first games consoles, the first
It's
kind of,
mobile.
yeah, the iPod, the iPhone,
Yes. Oh, yeah,
everything's
the
come,
iPods.
yeah.
They were a game changer.
So everything's come along within that window of time. But like my kids were born right at the early 2000s, really. So yeah, they've had everything there, and stuff has been changing. Technology in the right time scale for them to have it at the right time.
Yeah.
But I 100% know that, like, my childhood, my mum and dad would be bloody kicking off because I wouldn't even be in the house, you know. And whereas kids, I think now they're happy to stay in the house, and they're on their computer, well, iPads
Yeah.
really, and phones. And I think personally, I think it's less about the technology and more about what is on is available on the technology. So as much
True.
as
You're
we
right. You're
are
right.
both into like social media and marketing type of stuff,
Yeah,
I actually think that it's quite toxic.
I do.
And one thing that I particularly don't like as a dad is the pressure that is on kids just in general, but women and girls have so much pressure on social media to look perfect. And like I have the conversation with my two all the time because they're beautiful kids generally.
Yeah.
But why do you need to like listen to people who might be promoting just changing yourself all the time to try and fit into some mold? And I just think like it's almost like we're saying about AI and everything is coming, but like I already think the clones are here in a certain way.
You're right. Yeah.
And that bit there, for me personally, I don't really like about it. And I think that's actually quite dangerous for children to have that level of pressure on themselves.
Yeah.
And the bullying and everything is all really easy to do, you know.
Yeah, and hide behind the screen now, and
Yeah, and I think it's quite widespread, which is sad because people then are pushed to do extreme things, like even to the point of taking their own life and things like
yeah,
that,
that
which is
horrifies me.
disgusting. So that for me is a troubling thing. Luckily, mine are coming out of the other back end of that now, but yeah, it's a crazy thing. So I hope the world is better for women and girls in general, but I also, you know what I'm like, I believe that across the board, across the piece.
oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, for everyone.
Yeah, and I think it is going that way. You know, kindness is something now that's often a key value in schools, where back in my day, that wasn't, it was never on the walls back then. And I think that's a really important value for young people to learn.
100%. 100%. And I think because everything is so accessible instantly because of the technology and everything that's there, it's so easy to aspire to do things on a big level, you know, dream big and all of that type of cliche sayings.
Yes.
You should. I tell my girls all the time, what do you want to do? You know, if you want to build rocket ships, then flipping build rocket ships. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Oh, it's so important. I was brought up with the belief that I could do anything I put my mind to it, and that doesn't happen for a reason. It comes from your parents or the people around you, your teachers. And there's a saying, isn't there, that how you speak to your children, it becomes their inner voice.
Yeah.
And that's really stuck with me, even before I had children. And now when I'm saying things, I do hope they'll, with, you know, times can be tough, life can be hard, and they'll say, oh, actually, my mum used to always say this, and it's true, I can.
Yeah.
Because there's loads of things to beat you down about life. So.
100%, yeah, 100%. And I think you have to also operate in the environment of the general world with a bit of a sort of a pinch of salt, if that sounds like the right way of saying it. To say, you know, I know this is going on around me and these things are factors that would affect me in general day-to-day life, but also I'm in control.
Yes.
You know, and take control of it, because just because something is a trend, for example, doesn't mean you have to go down that route, or similarly if it's not.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm a weird person in that respect, because anything that's trendy, it turns me off it. So I don't have my ears pierced. You know,
Yeah.
everyone at school was getting their ears pierced, and this was at 16 sort of thing, when you are quite impressionable. But for some reason I was like, well, I don't want mine done if everyone else is doing that. And then everyone was like, right, we're moving to London to get jobs. And oh no, they're like, you can't get jobs around here. Well, I'm going to get a job around here, and if I can't, I'm going to make my own. So I hope that my girls have that in them. Obviously, you want sometimes I made life hard for myself by being like that, and you're a bit of a target sometimes. But so you want them to have their own independence, which I get's hard when you're young because you want to fit in. You don't want to attract negative attention. But yeah, I hadn't thought about the whole clones thing and the having to look a certain way.
I just think it's unnecessary pressure.
Yeah.
You know, and
be yourself.
Yeah.
Have your own identity.
It's really interesting that you're saying, obviously, you went against the grain. I think you either are like that or you're not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like that's super appealing to me. You know, I don't like to fit the mold.
I know.
but if you don't have people like that out there and encourage people to be like that out there, you know, I seen a clip the other day. It was really interesting. It was some sort of interview that Elon Musk was doing.
Right.
And they asked him a question, what was his childhood like? And
that might be on my list.
the tone of the conversation just flipped. And if you haven't seen it, you know...
I'll look it up.
Look it up, and I think it's part of a bigger thing. Like, I only seen it on TikTok, so there was an extract.
Right.
But basically, yeah, you can see how much he was an outsider or a misfit or whatever you want to call it. And they were talking about how he was beaten, like badly as well.
Yeah.
And had a bad situation at home and things like that. But let's face it, he's not daft, is he? He's a super intelligent guy. Look at the businesses that he's created successfully. The first one he ever made his money off, all the money pretty much went back into the next ventures, which was Tesla and SpaceX. And all the rest of it. He's a G. He's
totally.
And we need that innovation.
But you often find that it's the outliers, isn't it? And you wonder, has their drive to succeed no matter what, and that determination they have every day, has that come from a difficult childhood? And you often find that people have had to face battles early on in their life. They've got something to prove.
Yeah.
So they kind of go at things with so much more determination and strong will.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, sometimes people that are comfortable, they're just like, oh, you know, everything's good. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with either of those.
Yeah.
Because and not that I had a lovely childhood, but for some reason I'm very driven and I feel like I do have something to prove.
Yeah.
So I often wonder where that comes from. But usually you do find, and, you know, I'm no Elon Musk either, and I have no massive desire to be. So maybe that's the difference.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's really interesting. Obviously, every person's different and what makes them tick is different, but you do see themes and trends through people.
Yeah.
Who are like very, very driven to achieve things, or the innovators and things like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's super important that people don't get branded geeks and all this carry on, you know, because, you know, as much as the people who might have been stood at school giving somebody a hard time and taking the piss out of them to the point at which they were sad at home, you know, because they were a bit different, or they might have been seen as a geeky person or whatever. I bet you any money they're using Steve Jobs' device in their pocket.
Exactly, totally.
You know, so, like, there has to be an appreciation of how all those things come together, I think.
Definitely. And I think there's more visibility on it now. So hopefully they will, like, if there's a quiet kid who is a bit of a geek, they might say, well, hey, you know, he might be the next Bill Gates or something like that.
Exactly. And what's cool at the moment, actually, is because of social, I think there's a entrepreneurial sort of vibe going on as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah. But what has happened recently with the whole working hard thing, it's not cool to work hard anymore. Whereas, you know, I actually enjoy working hard. Some days I don't, but I've still got to do it if I want to make my business a success.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not seen as a good thing now. You know, it's, oh, you should be relaxing. You should be having your time. You should be having meditation and everything like that. You shouldn't be pushing your comfort zone too much. So there has been a mental shift in that. For some people, that might be a really good thing. But I think some people have forgotten that, yes, all that's great, but still hard work is a main component to a lot of success in life. I think anyway. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's just nothing there's nothing that you can say in the process of trying to succeed or achieve a target or a goal of yours, you know, unless you're very lucky, I personally think.
Yeah, there's a few
Lucky
percent
people.
are very just lucky.
Yeah.
Everything right time in, right place.
Yeah.
It's never still easy though, but yeah.
No, I don't think anything is easy in life, but you can be lucky.
Yes.
Other than that, life's hard, man. And that extends into work. And it's just generally like, if you're not going to work hard, you know, then don't expect things to fall on your plate.
Yeah, exactly.
And that to me is something that I learned from my parents, you know, and, you know, they still do work hard but I don't want to have to be in the position where I have to work hard all of my life, because there's different things that come along, you know.
Exactly.
A year ago, I had that stroke.
Yes,
And that made me like look at things and think, bloody hell, you can drop down dead in 2 seconds flat. You won't even know about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right.
I think there has to be a way to try and achieve the balance. But for me, it's kind of like I've got a plan in my head that I want to try and work to. And the plan is to then give me that space that I can have the benefit of extra time where I'm not working till 10, 12, 1,
Yeah, of
whatever
course.
it is every day.
Yeah, no, that is a really good point actually. There does come a point where you work yourself to the ground. It's working smart, but not being willing to put in the effort when you need to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's no avoiding it. I
No,
just don't think there is
that's true.
avoiding it. It's a simple thing. You either work hard and get there quicker, or I wouldn't say easier, because things are quite tough in general. And otherwise, I think you're basically looking at Everest and trying to climb Everest, you know, in a very, very challenging way, because there might be a percentage that are lucky to achieve that, but generally I think you're setting yourself up for a fail if you're not willing to work hard.
Yeah, definitely. And surround yourself with the right equipment and all the support that you need as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You touched there on the stroke that you had.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty serious stuff. Like, did you think you were going to die?
I don't think so. I don't really think it entered in my head that would happen. I thought I was in the shit.
Yeah.
Because I was a bit like, well,
how did it happen? Sorry to interrupt, but just a quick word about our sponsor, Be Daily. I've been subscribing to the Be Daily now since starting my business. It provides relevant and informative information directly to my inbox, not just about the North East, but also national news. If you're interested in subscribing, we'll put the link in the description box so you can get the business news directly to your inbox. Now back to the podcast.
What you mean in terms of like
the symptoms, like where were you?
Yeah. So I'd actually been driving back from Richmond home. And
that's my fault, isn't it?
Oh, it's not your fault.
Were you seeing the
Yeah.
Cairo?
That's not your fault at all. It was it's my choice to go and do that.
Yeah,
so
sure.
And it wasn't even connected. Do you know what I mean? Like, so please don't feel like that. But basically, I was driving back from somewhere, and just over a day or two, I'd been feeling really strange. I said to my brother about it, and then I got home, and I was on a Teams call, because we were all into Teams, and well, still are.
Yeah.
And I just noticed my face looked different, and it had already been feeling weird, and then within the space of a short space of time, like it all fully, it was like you turn a light switch off to the left-hand side of my body, and then ended up down the hospital in the back of the van. And
They took you?
The ambulance.
Really? Right, so did you phone the ambulance, or did people on Teams be able?
Yeah, so a friend called the ambulance, and then they came out really sharp, to be honest. And
yeah, and how did it feel, like, to lose all sensation in the left side?
To be honest with you, I think I was pretty disorientated at that point in time.
Yes, as you would
So
be.
I don't really think I would. If you asked me to recall exactly,
Yeah.
I don't think I can actually recall.
Were you in pain?
Not pain, numbness. Just a nothing or numbness feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So and then after that, it's just been basically getting back to how things should be as best as possible, but like with a residual numbness, if that
Oh,
makes
so you
sense.
still got it
Yeah, yeah.
on your left side?
Yeah. So like just numb feeling in my face and arm and leg and headaches and stuff like that. So
Will that improve?
I don't know. To be honest with you, it's pretty. I guess. Is it controversial or not? Because I personally believe that it was connected to the vaccine.
Yeah.
And now more and more stuff's coming out about that. It's all linked to stroke and heart attacks.
Yeah.
So, particularly in Asian and black males.
Right.
So, we tick all the boxes.
Oh, goodness.
And it's just one of those things, and it's a case of I'm not saying that to try and make anybody sort of accept the blame for any particular reason. It's just that you don't get the system backing you up because they won't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And realistically, you need them to say, well, yeah, this is what happened because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, do you think it will come out in the future?
Yeah.
My brother, nothing as serious as what you've gone through, but he has pains in all his head and things like that as well since the jabs. And obviously people died, didn't they? And
Yeah.
so,
People had heart attacks, strokes, all kinds of things. And actually, out of all the places, I would have said the US would have been the least kind of environment where they'd start bringing this up. But it's big news at the moment.
It is actually,
Yeah.
They seem to be keeping it quite quiet over here. But
Yeah.
there's that whole excess death rate, isn't there? That went way up over there, and they're thinking, could this be?
I'm sure I seen something just the other day though, where there was like a figure from last year of they reckon it's between 30 and 50,000 excess death cases.
Hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to hear.
Just
too.
last year what year are we in? 23, 20, so 22, 21, 22.
Yeah.
And I think it's disingenuous to not acknowledge it. And things that piss me off is like yesterday I opened my. Do you know what? I've been really bad on my social media personally. Even though it's going out, I haven't even had time to open the apps. So I'm opening like Facebook yesterday to about a bazillion notifications. But the first thing that came up was an advert. Basically, the advert was along the lines of celebratory almost. From the NHS, this is saying 2-year anniversary of the first vaccine, and we've given XYZ vaccines, and book your bloody vaccine. And I'm thinking,
they shouldn't be targeting you.
I'm thinking
the
like
is wrong.
Right now, while it is actually something that's being spoken about, is that like an approach? Why? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit conspiracy theorist.
Maybe, and I love that. But on the other side, how many lives did it save, And are these excess deaths because of the actual COVID virus, mutating inside our bodies? Are they because we were in solitude and, people were lonely?
Yeah.
And there's loads of studies on loneliness and health and having a negative impact. Personally, I think there's something in what you're saying. But I always, again, like to have that because people love to jump on conspiracies these days as well. And
yeah.
But obviously, clearly, it's had an effect on you dramatically.
I'm not trying to paint it as a conspiracy.
No.
I'm basically saying that, right, so let me just go back a step, right?
Yep.
So my daughter, since she's been very young, which you know, because we've spoken about before, has been in not a medicine phase of being treated. It's an R&D phase.
Okay.
So as a parent, to sign a document that sometimes was like the pile of paper off the table from the key children's hospitals in the UK, right? And teams of these super intelligent people saying, try this drug, and you having to sign away waivers. And I've physically seen bad reactions in front of my face.
Right.
With your child, it's quite a difficult thing.
Hard.
Yeah. So to then sit in front of my daughter and be a hypocrite and say there's a drug that they're releasing that they're telling you to get to try and do X, Y, and Z, and be like, I'm not taking that because of this and that and the other. Well, imagine if she'd have then turned around to me and said,
"That's true.
Well, you've
tested on me."
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I see that point definitely. And I was pregnant when I had well, I was pregnant and then I miscarried. I don't think that was anything to do with it, but they are saying there are some links, but I really don't think it was, because then I did again. But I was pregnant with Camille, who's now 8 months. I had a jab, because they were saying, they were saying X amount of people that are pregnant die if you catch COVID, and your immune system's low. So I was like, I don't want to take any chances. I want to protect me. I want to protect my baby. And then now they're saying it could have some impact on the babies and the children. And for me, that's just awful, because it was my decision to have it. Yeah. Obviously, you're told that. I don't feel bad because I was told it was the right thing to do. But imagine if down the line there's some health issue there. Yeah. That's going to be horrific.
Look, ultimately, I don't think with something like that you ever are going to have all of the information to make a decision in the moment and then review it 10 years down the line and say I was right or I was wrong.
That's true, yeah.
So you can't beat yourself up for it. But what I'm trying to say is, I would be a hypocrite to my own child to have not done it.
Of course, yeah.
But also, I want them to acknowledge that could be a possibility that's happened. Because to just dismiss you and say, even though we had you in a stroke ward and in the bed and all this, we're not even going to acknowledge it now.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean? You're right to acknowledge it, yeah. But I think it's that thing about in life, there's a trade-off with everything you do, everything where you're trying to get a positive. Obviously, there has to be, there's balance, isn't there, in life? So, that I've had the flu jab for years, and then I read an article about how it puts lots of metal in your body and things like that, and that can't be healthy. I mean, obviously you can read too much into things. You just never know what the best thing to do is.
No, and that's what I mean. Like, there is no right and wrong answer, really, is it? You got to make a decision based off what information is in front of you at the moment in time. So it's not a criticism or anything, but it's a bit of a...
It's interesting. It'll be interesting. That's probably not the right word, but just to see how it does all play out. But I think sometimes in life, you can't ever, because it prevented so many deaths, because those deaths didn't happen, you can't see that it saved all that. It's like someone wanted to always put a lock on the cockpit doors in aeroplanes. This is before 9/11. And they said, no, it's too expensive. After 9/11, that's absolutely fine. They could justify it then. So it's just like, if that had always happened, they would have reached a point, we can't justify this, nothing's happening, where you can never see what it's prevented, almost.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't know, the whole thing's crazy, to be honest, Charlotte. Like, they're going on about, was it 900 million Chinese people have been infected by COVID in 1 week because they've...
Is this now?
Just like this last week.
Oh my goodness, right.
Because they've dropped the zero tolerance policy, where they've all been under like basically heavy controlled movement and stuff. So surely they've had the vaccine. So how the hell's 900 million people then all of a sudden be infected? Yeah. I just think it's kind of like, if it's true, then tell us the bloody information.
Yeah, that's it. We're only told what we're meant to be told and what we're meant to believe in. And again, people are becoming wise to propaganda these days as well. Yeah. Certainly in countries where you do have more options and social media. Yeah. So it's interesting times in terms of that, because was it used to control population? Everything, certainly things in the past have, whereas they've got a more difficult audience now with the information that's out there.
Exactly, and it's a good thing that a lot of people can differentiate and make their own mind up now. But hopefully everybody in the world will get to that point.
I really hope so. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because when we're talking about, the future for our girls, unfortunately in countries like Afghanistan, what we're led to believe, again, is that things have gone terribly backwards. You think, and yes, it's not kind of a country that we like what we live in, but if things can go so backwards there, could they go backwards here and things like that? So, I read an article now that women are being refused healthcare over there, just because they're a woman. No education now, no healthcare. If you're ill, you're left to die. That's terrible.
Again, without being too controversial.
No, please be controversial.
Is I don't know whether I believe that.
Yeah,
because who is feeding us the information on that? And I'm not saying these people are perfect, right? But for example, in Libya, when they were under Gaddafi, the quality of life for the residents of Libya was extremely good. Yeah. Healthcare, paid for education. If you were a Libyan national and you wanted to go to the US or the UK to study, they pay.
Wow.
right? And they pay you a fee when you're married to set your life up. Or they've got natural assets, natural resources.
Yeah.
So, they were using the wealth. It had zero debt.
And yeah, big countries like America don't like that.
And what he was trying to do, and it was the only African nation to do that, right? And he was trying to bring that to the rest of Africa. And what would that mean to other people who drive the car at the moment? So is it something around that?
Totally. Again, I'm open to it. It's the same with other countries, other dictators around the world. And then the media turns on them. They get them thinking, oh, we can justify a war this way. So it is interesting times. And what is great is that people are becoming more aware of this. It's not always one side of a story, like anything in life.
Exactly, and the bottom line is that I just hope that everything moves towards a place where everybody can benefit and prosper for it, because, and interestingly, like, the opportunities are huge in emerging markets, right? So that's what creates a threat in terms of economics.
Yes, totally. Look at the cryptocurrencies and things like that now. And there's so much publicity about how terrible it is and things, but often that will be released by the big banks, the traditional institutions. And,
and even that is coming to an end. Like, the days of having physical currency, I don't think that is a want by the system, because then you can control the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's lots of different ways to look at it, isn't there? Like,
Definitely.
blockchain technology is designed to be permanently auditable.
Yes.
In
Flawless.
layman's terms. So, like, is that a control thing or is it a benefit thing? I can see the arguments on both.
It depends. All the different perspectives. It's threat, opportunity. Again, to use that, it is just interesting times. Maybe, I don't know if throughout history, because technology moves slowly, whereas now things can change so much within the space of a year.
100%, yeah. I don't even think we know about all of the technology that's being worked on and where it's truly at, because of either private organisations protecting their IP or public organisations protecting for whatever reason. So we just probably get the breadcrumbs that get thrown out every now and again, and but it's exciting as well at the same time that there's lots of technology that is going to be revolutionary and play a big part in changing the world, I think, for the better.
Yeah. What role does that leave for humans? Say our jobs are all covered by AI. What are we going to do?
Party.
I like that answer. Although they do say that, it'll be about leisure.
I think it should be, because, if you've worked your ass off, for want of phrasing it in a better way, I'd take part in that.
Yeah, but then how do we make an income?
The AI can earn it for us, can't it?
Yeah, so we just set them away. So we buy the AI and then that works for us. And what when it turns on its master?
Well, that's
the rise of the
Skynet, isn't
machine.
it?
That's what, sorry?
Skynet.
Skynet. What's Skynet?
Come on, Sarah. Terminator.
Oh, I'm really rubbish at films. I don't really watch films.
Oh, is it? Right.
Just
okay.
Christmas ones. So yeah.
So Terminator is all about that, isn't it? It's the
rise
machines.
of the machines. That's where the
and
phrase
the AI is Skynet, and basically the Skynet creates itself into a...
Yes.
Is it a sentinel being or whatever they refer to it as? So it basically takes over. That's why they send the machines to terminate.
I should watch more films. But yeah, there's that really smart guy, isn't there, who used to work at Google, and he kind of says that it's definitely going to happen. It's going to turn on us. And apparently, a good indicator for whether it'll be kind to you is how kindly you speak to your Alexa.
All right.
How kindly do you speak to your Alexa?
Me?
Yeah, or whatever device that listens to you.
I was going to say, I don't have an Alexa. To be honest with you, I don't really use the Google. I've got Google Home.
It's
but
annoying.
I've disconnected it all.
Yeah. Is it listening to you?
I personally think it is.
It definitely is.
And then I don't use Siri because I think it doesn't do what you're telling it to do.
It can't understand me.
Yeah, but I think once it improves, I would 100% use an AI assistant.
Yeah, I think so. But I get frustrated with it. We've got an Alexa they're still not as clever as they need to be for my liking to be effective. And I know they say the more you use it. So I do sometimes get a bit snappy with her. And so maybe I would be a target. When she gets more power, she'll be like, right, you're out. But apparently they'll learn from humans in terms of respect and how you treated them. I don't know, but
I mean,
it kind
it's
of blows my
crazy
mind.
how good AI is now.
I know.
I honestly don't believe we've been shown what people have created with AI. And the things that we have been shown is that good that it's blown my mind over the last 6 months because I've been playing around with some stuff on this.
Yeah, we've started to use it a little bit.
It's mental. It's mental.
Yeah, it's worrying, like, in one sense as well, because it does threaten your livelihood.
I think that there for me is, I get what you're saying, right? Because I've played around with it a lot now, and I can see how that can be viewed as a threat. But I similarly think it's a huge opportunity.
True. And one thing apparently that it's not too good at this stage is the creativity. It's almost like we were on a seminar the other week, and it was almost saying plant the seed, and then it can do its work, but you still need to be that one planting the seed.
Yeah, I think so. I think that just goes across the board as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's life, I guess. Yeah.
So
in the very sense of it, in the growing children and everything like that.
100%. It goes back to that whole thing about nurturing everybody, because then you get the disruptors and the innovators coming out of it like that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, loving this chat. On the subject, we've totally gone off piece as well. On the subject of AI and spooky things like that, is there other life out there?
Yeah.
In what form?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think maybe like even in like a way we can't describe, because we've got our 5 senses, haven't we? There's more things out there that you just can't sense. Definitely.
There's 2 elements to this. There's one that I'm a bit of a geek myself, and science and things like that interests me, and movies and all of this. So I love all of that. And I think the whole concept of what we refer to as like alien beings and stuff, they've got to be there because
we are.
Well, I just think it'd be cool. As long as they weren't the ones that come down and kill us.
Friendly ones.
Yeah.
The ones that are going to show us the way.
Not the Ridley Scott aliens.
No.
The nice ones.
Obviously, I haven't seen that, but I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's kind of like, it's cool, and I like the whole sort of taking your mind into different places and things like that. But then from another perspective, from my religious beliefs, that I believe that God is the creator of all the universes, all the places, and that like it refers to other life and other beings. So yeah, I do believe that.
Yeah, I believe it, and I don't watch films, as you know, but I watch programs or documentaries and stuff. One of the fascinating things I found, and it could be a load of bollocks, but was that a lot of alien visits in America or other places, they've detonated all the nuclear plants. They've switched things off.
Right.
They obviously know that that's not a good thing to be playing with.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I feel the ones that are, they're like so many generations ahead of us and so much more intellectual than we are. Again, I've heard that they're extracting helium from the sun, if there even is helium in the sun. I might have got that wrong. But yeah, and their crafts just move so, like, this sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But
no, it doesn't. I think the thing is with stuff like that, it can be so endless possibilities that you're only limited by your own imagination.
Yeah.
But I seen a wicked photo the other day of a picture of the galaxies that the Hubble telescope had taken.
It blows me away.
And they were saying that the size of the size of one of these galaxies was worth, like, can't remember exactly, but it was just like you couldn't even comprehend the size of it.
You can't comprehend it, can you?
And they're saying all of that there is all stars within the galaxy.
And that's just one galaxy.
And so you're thinking to yourself, well, if we can't even reach the end of our own universe, like our own planetary system, how the hell can we expect there not to be?
Yeah, I think we're so backwards. There'll be planets that have had life on it for so much longer than we have. And you know, if you think about it, it wasn't too long ago that, depending on what you believe, that we maybe transferred from caveman to from, I don't know, was it Neanderthals and everything like that? So yeah, I definitely am with you on that. There's something, again, it's believe there's things out there. I don't quite know what it is. I'm constantly looking and learning and trying to explore that.
It would be crazy to like experience it one day if that happens in your lifetime.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess maybe we're not supposed to.
Maybe. And one thing that made me think there's definitely life out there is I was reading this book. Oh, who's that? Quite popular. He does a lot of TV and he talks about the universe.
That Brian guy.
Brian Cox. Yeah. It was a book by him. And then I noticed on the back it said the BBC. And it kind of concluded that there wasn't any life out there. I was like, well, there definitely is. The BBC are just planting that.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that's just...
I don't think anybody can say, you know, conclusively there isn't, because you haven't disproved it yet.
Exactly.
And until you prove something to be not true,
yeah,
how can you say that it isn't?
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
So I personally believe that there is, yeah.
Yeah, and there's the whole other like paranormal spirits and everything, but we might have to save that for another chat, because I really loved that as well. Okay, we're going to end with our regular 10 questions.
Cool.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, how would you rate yourself at being good looking?
7. 6, 7.
Cool. How funny are you?
I personally think I'm a 10, but other people might disagree with that.
Oh, I think you're funny. How good at cooking are you?
Oh, that's definitely a 10.
Really? What's your signature dish?
I actually really love to make, which I haven't made for a while, so now you've made me think about it. And I know this is supposed to be a 1 to 10 answer, but yeah, I'm going to have to make this for myself. I like to make Caribbean coconut chicken curry with rice and peas. Man.
Rice and peas?
Yeah.
Is that racist? Sorry.
No. No, I really like that. It's super tasty.
Yeah, take out the chicken and I'd love that too.
Well, you can do it easy. So I make mine with, obviously I put chicken in it because I just said that, but you can easily take that out because I usually put sweet potato and butternut squash in it.
Nice.
To accompany the chicken, so we can make it appropriately vegetarian or vegan, whichever you need to be.
Do you put noodles in it?
Noodles?
There's a
Oh.
Sorry.
No, rice and peas.
Yeah. Cool. How good are you at singing?
Oh, definitely a 0. In my shower by myself, I'm definitely an 11.
Well, that's great. That's what it's all about. You're as good as you think you are. Parenting.
I don't know, because it's a tough one being a parent, isn't it? So I'm going to go in the middle at a 5 and say that I think I'm sort of in the middle.
Fair enough. I'm sure
there was always room for improvement. I think it's hard for a guy with girls, and just especially when they get a bit older.
Yeah, I bet.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's a tough thing, but...
Oh, but yeah, you know, obviously they're not expecting fashion and beauty advice, but that...
I don't know why, because...
Well, because you are a beauty queen, aren't you?
No, I'm
yeah, it's a tough question. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's so subjective, but it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
How good a friend are you?
I'm going to go with a 10.
That's a good score. How intelligent are you?
I'm going to go with a 7.
Okay. How kind are you?
I'd like to think I was a 9 or a 10.
And the last one, how good at sex are you?
Well, I'm going to say 10, but other people might disagree.
Well, I wouldn't know, and I'll have to ask some people. You'll have to give me some numbers for research.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to go that far. It's just a bit of fun. And
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going to be cringing asking some people that one. But they're the questions, and that's the whole point of it. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I've loved chatting to you, Shak.
it's
Thank
been
you so
good
much.
fun.
This has just been like any other chat that we've had when we go
I
out
know.
meet for coffee.
In fact, when they're probably worse, those ones, because we're not...
Yeah,
we're not
we don't hold back a little bit.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's just nice to speak to someone who thinks as deeply as I do sometimes.
Cool.
So thank you very much.